Hello guys, welcome to my channel. This is the first tutorial in this brand new series of tutorials on HTML, and in this tutorial I'll be talking to you guys about what HTML is and the prerequisites for this course, and also what I'll be covering in this course. Right, so HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language, and it's not a programming language, it's a language that web browsers understand. Right, and it's also not the only technology that's used to make websites. You usually use HTML in conjunction with the other popular technologies like CSS or JavaScript, and in this course though we are only going to focus on HTML and we are not going to check out CSS or JavaScript, right? And couple of things that I would want you guys to do if you are going to follow along this course, watch all the tutorials. You should be having at least 2 web browsers installed on your system, right? So if you are a Microsoft Windows user, you would probably be having Internet Explorer already. So what you can do in that case is you can download and install Google Chrome or Firefox. And if you're a Mac user, then you probably use Safari. So in that case you can download and install Google Chrome or Firefox again, and just make sure that whatever examples we discuss in this course, you check them out across different web browsers, and even the HTML that you write on your own. Just make sure that whatever code you write looks the same across different browsers, and this is very important because you wouldn't want to ever make a website that looks one way or functions one way in one browser and functions in a different way on another browser. Another thing is that you would also need a good text editor, and again, if you are a Microsoft Windows user, then Microsoft Notepad would probably be your default text editor. And Notepad is not a bad program, it's a good piece of software, but it doesn't fulfill all our requirements, right? So I love Notepad++. It's a free tool that you can download and install from the internet, and it provides a syntax highlighting feature which allows me to detect bugs in my websites, so it makes debugging very easy. And even otherwise, I like the look and feel of this software. It provides a lot of features, and it's a good software, so you can just try it out, and you can try out other text editors too if you want, and you can see which one you like the most, and you can stick to that. And if you prefer working with Microsoft Notepad, then that's fine too, but you cannot use word processing software like Microsoft Word, because when you save a text file in Microsoft Word, a lot of other information gets saved along with the the text, which web browsers don't understand. So you cannot use Microsoft Word, but you can use Microsoft Notepad, right? So over here I have a very simple HTML document for you guys, and you guys must have noticed that I've saved this file with the name tutorial-1, and it has the extension .html, right? And this is very important. So even if you're going to use Microsoft Notepad, you would have to save all your HTML documents with the extension .htm or .html, because only then will web browsers understand that these are HTML files and would process them accordingly. So anyway, what I have in this file is the doc type declaration on line number 1. And it's very simple. You have the exclamation symbol and the word doc type, that's DOCTYPE in capital letters, a space, and then the word HTML. And you have all of this enclosed between the less than symbol and the greater than symbol, and some people also like to call these the opening and closing angular brackets, right? And the purpose of having this in this file is that this instructs web browsers that whatever follows after this declaration in the file is all HTML, right? So it's kind of like a warning to web browsers. And this is the HTML5 way of including the doc type declaration. The older version of HTML required us to also include a DTD and some more fancy text, which fortunately we do not have to remember now, because HTML5 has made our lives so much more simple. So anyway, you have to include this in all the web pages that you make. And on line number 3 you have the opening HTML tag, and on line number 18 you have the closing HTML tag, and all the other HTML elements have to go between the opening and closing HTML tags. right? And although the doc type declaration takes the form of an HTML tag, it's not actually an HTML tag, right? So what I mean by that is that the HTML tag also is enclosed between the less than symbol and the greater than symbol, but this is something that is a part of the HTML language, whereas this is not an HTML element, right? It's something that you have for the sake of your web browsers, but this is not going to change the functionality of your web pages in any way. However, this is a requirement. You need to have this. If you don't have it, then web browsers won't render your page at all, right? So it's very simple. You have the less than symbol and the greater than symbol again, and then in between these two symbols you have the word HTML, right? And you have a corresponding closing tag, as I said earlier on line number 18. The only difference between this and this is that in this tag, that is the closing tag, you have the / before the word HTML, right? And any HTML document is going to have two sections. It's going to have a head section and it's going to have a body section. So whatever you're going to put within the body section of your HTML document is going to be displayed within the main window of your web browser, whereas whatever you're going to put in the head section is not going to be displayed within the main window, but you would save things like description about your web pages, or information about the author, or if you would want to refresh your page after every few seconds, then that's also going to be done through a tag in the head section. And then the title of the page goes in the head section as well. So for that you have the title tag, and that's on line number 5. You have the opening title tag, and on line number 7 you have the closing title tag, and in between these two tags you have some text structure of an HTML doc. And let me show you guys how this page looks when I open it in a web browser. So I've opened it in Google Chrome here, and as you see over here at at the top of the page, the title of the window says structure of an HTML doc, and if I keep my pointer on it, I can even read it. It's structure of an HTML doc. So this is where it comes from. It comes from the head section, and more specifically it comes from whatever you have between the title tags, right? And I do not have any more elements in the head section at the moment, but as we move along the course, I'll talk about more things that you can include in the head section to make your website more search engine friendly, and how you can do some other interesting stuff through the elements that go within the head section. And then I have the body section, which again is very simple. You have the word body between the less than and the greater than symbols, the opening tag on line number 9 and the closing tag on line number 17. And in between the opening and closing body tags, I have two more elements. The first one is the h1 element, and this is if you want to have a heading, and the largest possible heading by default HTML standard. And then you also have a paragraph which is included through the p tag. So the opening p tag is on line number 13 and the closing p tag is on line number 15. So between the opening h1 tag and the closing h1 tag, I have the text, this is the heading, and between the opening and closing p tags, I have the text as simple as it gets. So this is how the site looks if you open it in the browser. So obviously the heading is bold and it's bigger, and the paragraph text is smaller, right? So I'm going to talk about these elements individually in the next few tutorials, and also collectively again maybe, but in this tutorial I just wanted to show you guys the structure of a basic HTML document. So these are things that you would have to include, and I'm going to talk about the significance of each of these in more detail later on, but for the time being, just try to copy this code down and put it in a text file, save it with the HTML extension, and open it in a web browser just to see that everything works fine, right? So I hope you guys had fun watching this tutorial, and I'll see you in the next one. Till then, take care, and you may subscribe to my channel if you haven't already.